When you think about inbound marketing and content marketing, it's really about just making the best choice in the best interests of your potential customers.
You're listening to Build Up, a ZGM podcast. I'm Selena.
And I'm Jordan. And we're here to shake up the world of home builder marketing.
Our guest on this episode, Selena, is Derek Hovinga. He's a good friend and founder and full funnel content marketing strategist at the Inbound Lab. And we're going to talk all about content strategy, inbound strategy, how that all ties into brand, and what it all means.
It's definitely going to be a fun conversation with Derek. It always is.
Yeah, it always is.
Let's go.
All right. Hi, Derek. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you both.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. So one of the things that I'd love to have you chat about first is just helping define what inbound is, what it means.
Yeah, sure. It's actually really funny, right? Because in 2015, inbound marketing was all about creating customer-centric content, or it's a customer-centric marketing style that would basically help someone make an informed decision around a large purchase, right? Like in this case, the largest purchase of your life, a home, where the goal here is to deliver some sort of gated piece of content, get somebody to sign up for it with the most information that they can get. And then they'll put fields in that are just like, when are you thinking about moving or something like that? Are you a realtor? Are you not a realtor? So that they can present you with as much content related to that as possible. Where when you think about content marketing, well, content marketing is a big brand piece, right? It's really focusing on, building this position where you're actually like looking out for your customers' best interests. From a business sense, the goal with content is really to draw people in naturally, offering valuable information and building relationships. And I think in the home buying sector, you're not just looking at one home builder brand, you're evaluating your options, right? You're in the consideration stage, as they say, and you've maybe decided on this specific community, but there's like 10 to 20 home builders building in that community, right? So the goal of content is really to help distinguish your brand from other people's brands, right? And a lot of that is focusing on content that revolves around, specific needs, right? Because, every house has a kitchen, every house has bedrooms, maybe multiple bathrooms. And then they might even have something super tailored to a specific demographic. A spice kitchen is important, or, more multiple bedrooms because they've got grandma living upstairs. I think what content marketing does, it really helps educate people, help them make informed decisions around a purchase. And like me as a consumer, I don't want to be sold to. I want to be given the power to make my own purchasing decisions. So I think valuable content can help you do that.
I think it's really interesting, like that you have to have this big conversation around it, because I don't think a lot of people know what it is. And you're talking about content marketing, and we talk about content all the time, like with our clients. And I think sometimes they just think it's a blog post. That's content.
Yeah.
If I'm going to produce content, it's a blog post. But it's so much bigger. And like your example, and trying to describe that your relationship building. And part of that relationship building is established, like actually you have a chance now to establish your brand and your brand position and who you are, and like become a friend, the friendly neighbor for all these potential customers. So kind of tying into that, we talked a little bit about like inbound, but I'd love to hear you talk a bit about what that like full funnel marketing like approach could look like, and what you would kind of define that full funnel content marketing, and maybe how you would first approach it.
Basically, you're right about a lot of people think inbound marketing is just blogging, and some of it is, obviously. But the full funnel content marketing approach to it is getting a good sense of your customer in terms of their desires, their needs, their requirements, what content they consume to make informed decisions, where they consume that content. So it's all about interviewing these people and really getting an understanding of basically what keeps them up at night. Hey, shout out to ZGM briefs. But yeah, so the full funnel content marketing approach, or my philosophy around it, it's not just about creating content for the customer, but it's also creating sales enablement content. So this is a great way to align your marketing and sales teams, right? Because getting an understanding of what type of content can help your sales teams basically close a deal or even close a deal quicker, because everybody knows the sales cycle. It's not, it's not a lateral thing. Like, people aren't going, I see your brand, I'm considering options, I chose an option. Potentially they see your brand, they're considering options, they're like, you know what, the interest rates suck right now, I'm not going to go back to this. And then 2 years later, they're like, hey, oh yeah, remember that one home builder and that one show home we saw? I wonder if they have any more of those products, like boho chic. Oh no, they discontinued it. Looks like I can't buy a boho chic home. But hey, the salesperson that I spoke to has some other recommendations in terms of products that are very similar to that product, right? So creating content within the full funnel, but also creating content that basically, it's almost like modular in a way, where you can just continuously refine where that content is presented at a specific part of a customer's journey. And they can consume content whenever they want, wherever they are in their journey, to help them make a decision, or to help them, disqualify themselves from making a decision, right? Because the last thing sales folks want is to realize that they've gone through this entire journey with a potential home buyer, and it just turns out they don't have a large down payment, or they can't get approved for a mortgage, or whatever that, everybody has their own situation there. So so it could be content around how to rebuild your credit or something like that.
Yeah.
Stuff that isn't necessarily around the core competency of the home builder, right? Or it could be
I love
something
that, Derek.
around,
Yeah. Like
Or it could be-
education, like true education.
yeah,
for a home, like
absolutely.
the helpful hand along the way. And like, imagine
Totally.
loving a home. We talk about this, actually. We've talked about this with a few team members, is like, if you get somebody to fall in love with that home, like your home or whatever it is, it's gorgeous and you're obsessed with it. And then to be disappointed at the end because like you can't actually maybe get it. Where's the transparency? Like, making sure you're transparent and clear and communicating. So good.
There's a quote I heard in a previous podcast episode that Selena coined, the value of despair. And I think that's it. And I think you were trying to say something else. I think it was the value of disappointment. And I think there's value of disappointment in marketing, but there's also value of disappointment in, the home buying process as well. And sometimes it's the home builder's fault, but sometimes it's the home buyer's crappy situation that they're in, right? So yeah, totally. There's needs to be a way to provide customers, if you're thinking more of a more customer-centric approach, with options, because the last thing you want is for them to be disappointed, not get help, and then be disappointed with the brand because they weren't able to help, right? Because they basically disqualified them as, I guess, a quote unquote qualified lead. That's a good point.
Derek, you talked about, and Selena said it too, a lot of people think, okay, well, this is just like a blog and you just write blogs and they go on your website, whatever. But for those people who don't know, what are some other examples of how you would push this content out and make sure that it's in front of customers at the right time?
Yeah, certainly. It's, events, especially now with the in-person events, I think getting folks to the show homes, foot traffic has always been a big component of inbound content marketing. So planning out events that deliver, educational resources that will help people not only see the community that they're in, or get them into a show home, but events that are, highly educational for them as a potential home buyer. I find events really important. And then it's really about talking to your ideal customer profile and getting an understanding of what type of content they like to consume. Some people like to read blogs. Some people use ChatGPT and write what are some of the processes in terms of, applying for a mortgage. But then some people actually listen to podcasts, right? That's why you're doing the podcast, because you want home builders to listen to this podcast. Connected TV is a big thing right now, which isn't necessarily content marketing, but there's a huge ad play with connected TV right now that can amplify your brand in whole other ways. And then there's, different parts of the funnel, like utilizing your current customer base to create content, almost like user generated content, but you're asking them for testimonials, you're creating case studies, and then providing that to, folks who are either in the consideration stage of their buyer's journey, where they're looking at other options and they're seeing the happy ex-home builder customers enjoying their life at their new home and imagining themselves being also that happy family in that home. But there's also a component to that where, people like to listen to their peers, right? People like to listen to what their family's opinions are, what their friends' opinions are, what their community members' opinions are. So there's an awareness piece there too, which is really great. So the delight stage is actually a fantastic part of the content marketing funnel, because you can get so much out of your current customer base just by continuously marketing to them or continuously providing great customer service to them. So there's a bit of a marketing, sales, and then a customer success component to the full funnel content marketing initiatives.
It's awesome. It's interesting how, when you think of content, I think of words. Like that's just initially like where my mind goes, but it's not that. And I think that's where it's an exciting place and space for home builders or any company really to play in, is like breaking that mold and that thinking of like, okay, we're gonna have to sit here and write like 10 blog posts this month. No, content is actually so much more than that. It is working with customers. It is that user generated content. It is building a really nice, like organic social media presence for your storytelling versus just like, this is the home today, check out this home, that kind of thing. So it's really nice. And I'd love to get your thoughts on, when we're doing like campaign work for clients, obviously we have a big media buy and we have a campaign direction and a strategy, and it's super robust. And where I think content has a huge opportunity is like really storytelling, because you can only do so much in like your paid space. But now like looking at like all your own spaces to continue telling that brand story.
Absolutely. There's, when we think about telling brand stories, brand purpose is a big thing, right? So, it's more than just words. It's about education, but it's also about opinions as well. You want a certain customer that values the same values that you have, or the same morals and ethics that you potentially have. I use a tactic that I call content R&D, research and development. Selena, I know you love fashion, so it's kind of like similar to like if Prada put out this like wacky idea and threw it on the shelves, and they test the market for it, see if people would, try it on or take it out of the store or whatever. And if it performs well, they keep doing it. Maybe they create other versions of it. And if it doesn't do well, they bring it back to the lab, so to speak. So I do that with content as well. I test out different messages, channels, I don't know, visual colors, techniques even, and see what resonates more than the other. So it's kind of a nice way to utilize one, brand storytelling, but also cost efficiencies as well, right? Because if you see something that's performing really well organically, being able to create some sponsor content around it to elevate it really helps out as well. But I think what's great about inbound marketing, content marketing, is it's all about testing different messages and testing the way that you're presenting things. You can follow a specific, you might have a brand guideline and you can follow the brand guideline, but it doesn't always have to look the same. I would recommend doing something for a quarter and then tweaking it, and then doing something for another quarter and then tweaking it, and all the good stuff that you see there. Well, let's boost it so that more people can see it, right? In a more targeted way rather than like an SEO way where people are searching for this type of content.
That is so awesome. Like, use this as an opportunity to test, inform, and validate.
Yeah, totally.
And like this, there's obviously time involved, but without putting any paid media dollars behind it right away. get a
Yeah.
feel for it, and then you could amplify after, refine and amplify.
Absolutely.
That's nice. Yeah.
I talked about how I work in the startup space, and there's a lot of things that we do with startups that you can do with anything, right? Like in startups, I help them validate their products before it's even gone out to market by just producing content. I know Dropbox did something before Dropbox was a thing. Their MVP, minimal viable product, was a video that explained what Dropbox was, explained what the problems were that people were having, talking about different scenarios, like Jan from HR sent you this document and you just had it in your emails, you didn't put it in a folder anywhere, or you put it on your desktop, but then your computer died and you couldn't find that document anymore. It's like a problem that a lot
Story
of
of my
people have.
life.
Yo, me too. Me too. And I have Dropbox. Or like you're going on vacation and you stored all your documents for that vacation on your desktop and then it gets lost. Well, Dropbox basically talked about all these problem scenarios through a video just to test their product, just to see if this is something that people would want. And should we put resources and money to doing this? They received a billion views on YouTube. They received a gajillion comments of people saying, would it be able to do this? Or can you release this now? Like, this is something that we've needed forever. And that was validation to be able to put as many resources as possible to get that product up and running right away, right? And you can even do that with homes, right?
I was just thinking, I got excited.
Yeah. Can you imagine just being like, hey, remember, did you watch Barbie? Remember that Barbie's home? And can you imagine you put out some content that shows off like Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa house or something, and people actually react to it and they're like, you know what? I would love this type of house. This is the exact type of house that would fit my family's needs. And I'm not saying Ken's house is that house, but that could actually inform not only your content strategy, but can also form the products that you're building as well, right? So there's a lot of interesting things that you can just do with content. I think that's really incredible. And this is why I'm so passionate about it.
That was really good. And I think a lot of people could use that because we often see sometimes product decisions are made, obviously based on like informed salespeople and some research, but like actually putting it out as almost like a market test or a temperature check is really interesting and different. I really haven't seen that done too much in this space, so it could be something fun to explore.
I think it's really interesting, and it kind of goes to this bigger concept of like you said at the beginning, Derek, it's like a conversation, trying to have two-way conversations with the audience. Like a lot of like advertising for the most part is very much you just like megaphoning a message out. Whereas the content really gives you this opportunity to have a two-way conversation and ideally you providing value to the customer. But then in turn, you want to focus that message and that value around like your brand attributes, right? And sort of then own that position and reinforce who and what you are.
Yeah, totally. There's, content really helps you become the authority in a specific space, right? So you're right. Home builders are so funny because a lot of them are very similar in their thinking, right? And often it's very reactive rather than proactive, where content can actually help you become an authority in something else. Like if you produce a piece of content that resonates with a lot of people, a home builder is not going to copy that content because that content already exists. It's like, what's the point of us putting resources to this? Somebody else already wrote it. You might share it, hopefully, and that's the goal for any piece of content, is that your competitors actually share the content. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, I do it. I'll share my competitors' content, but that's because I'm a content marketer. I'm not much of a businessman, but yeah, it's super interesting about having the brand attributes there and being able to be the authority of one thing or many things around whatever that brand purpose or attribute is.
That is, I think, the core and the key to how powerful this can be, is when you really focus in on what you're good at. Like, we had a home builder who was for first-time home buyers and was all about being the helpful home builder, making it easy. And we helped them create this 4-step program that involved PowerPoints and videos and live sessions and, content books to everything from how to budget and how to talk to your bank to every step along the whole process.
Cool.
And like, if you're a builder that's all about quality, like you should be making YouTube videos that get deep into the nitty gritty of what, you know, you probably think is exciting. And because you think it's exciting, will come across as exciting, even though most people probably might on the surface think it's boring. But like diving headfirst and deep into really what you are and what you love and what makes you special as an organization, and just putting that out in some content form to own that space and to own that identity.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's something to be said about authenticity as well, right? Like some people, even though the product that they're potentially purchasing is super high quality, they might not look at a piece of content that's just like very well produced, or not well produced, but like you know, super polished, right? Like the trend right now when it comes to social is, you know, not polished. Which is really funny. But component to this is, if you're a high quality builder, you're probably not selling in volume. You're selling in, you know, the expensive homes, right? You've got a huge budget to spend on marketing because you're trying to get rid of 5 homes. Whereas like a high production home builder where they try to sell 200 homes a year, well, they just need basically speed to market at that point, and content really helps them increase that speed to market in a more cost effective way as well.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. So what do you mean by speed to market, and how does that content help in that and getting that done?
Well, it basically builds momentum for your company, right? It gets in front of more people. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Gets you in front of more eyes. Same thing. It gets you in front of people quicker, right? And that's the goal, right? So when I talk about, you know, something that's super polished that goes through 20 rounds of revisions, you've put out an RFP for, let's say, a video or something like that, and it takes about 5 months to produce this video, and then you have to send it over to some broadcast channel, and then they say, hey, the closed captioning's wrong, I'm sorry, and then they send it back, and then you have to take it back, and then you have to get I don't know, you have to get like Shelby or Selena or Jordan or somebody to like drive over like a tape to CTV and be like, does this work? And then it doesn't work, and you got to bring it back. Like that stuff takes a long time, where content marketing, and I'm speaking about video now, is you can shoot everything with your iPhone, or you can shoot things with, I use a vlogging camera to shoot all my content, and it works just great because it just gets things in quicker than ever. Sure, you can still write a script, you can do all that stuff, you can hire talent and stuff like that, but the real goal here is just to get out there as quickly as possible. Yes, it needs to be high quality in terms of what the context of the content, well, that was really hard to say, is, right? Like, is this even meaningful to people, or are you just sending something with, you know, the people in the sales center who are just like doing like that TikTok video where they put the phone on top of the ceiling and they do the little dance or whatever. Like, is that valuable to people, or is it just because the sales people are bored because they haven't had any foot traffic in 10 days because they're waiting on this damn video to be produced? So from speed to market, it's really all about getting as much high quality in terms of what that content is. Oh, like I mentioned, there is something to be said about a high quality or super high quality, let's say a custom home builder, for instance, being able to have the money and the time and the resources to produce that video that CTV might send back because you got the closed captioning wrong. Does it sound like that happened to me at some point?
I know.
Yeah,
I feel like it happened to all of us, because I cringed a little bit. I felt it when you were talking about it. But that is so like important to think about, and for like any builder or brand, that like speed to market approach. And this is where I think brand is so important, because once you as a brand are established, like have your brand platform, understand who you are, like your key messages, who you want to be known as, making that content should be pretty streamlined. Like it should be a no-brainer about like what you need to be talking about. And yeah, I agree. You need maybe just like a little bit of structure, so you are producing something of value. But you're not just sitting there like, oh, like today I'm going to talk about this tree outside of our show home, like, or just like it's Christmas or whatever the holiday is. Like you're actually talking about your brand, and like what Jordan was saying, like if somebody's talking is quality is really important to them. It's not about like a quality of filming, even though it should be clear, but it's about quality of like our foundation. Look at our foundation that's being poured. It's a special envelope, like those kind of things that actually connect to who you are as a brand or organization. So I think that's a lot to think about.
This is basically a case study. But the interesting part is a lot of folks really resonate with content where you're not even seeing the home. It's like you're seeing a hole in the ground. You like to see progress. People like to see progress, especially if you're like talking about a community or talking about a home builder's new community that they're building it. So you don't even actually have to have homes like built in order for you to present content, because people, you're building that anticipation and that excitement, which helps out a lot.
The journey, people want to come along for the ride, the story.
Exactly,
I agree with you 100%. There's so much opportunity, especially in the home building space, to be doing things like this. And I think a little bit of a hurdle people have is, obviously resources and people are busy, but there's ways. I know, like we help develop content plans, give some strategic direction of how you can do it to help ease that burden on like an internal team. But, having a strong brand, I think is so important, because that's it. Now you have your vision, you have your direction, and then it shouldn't be too complicated.
Totally. I mean, it's still going to be complicated because customers always change their minds, and
this is true.
And
the trends.
They're continuously, the trends are continuously changing what works for them. Maybe they'll have 3 kids instead of 1, or maybe they're expecting 1, but there seems to be twins, and now they're like, shoot, we were looking at this one house, but now we need a bigger house.
Change it all.
Oh, gosh. Exactly. But you get what I'm saying.
Derek, what do you see as some of the most common mistakes when it comes to content and inbound marketing?
I mentioned it earlier on, and one of them is expecting it to be more about you, expecting it to be more about your business. Inbound marketing is supposed to help your business. And it's true, it brings people in long term. But a lot of people are looking for immediate results, right? And it's a long game. And this is why you start early. This is why it's speed to market. You have to get as much things out there as possible, because folks aren't going to see it for a while unless they're actively looking for it, for the most part, right? So I think that's the biggest thing, is that the biggest mistake people can do is to stop running this program. It's not like paid ads where you pay, you get a bunch of leads, maybe 15%, 10% convert, or maybe, and by conversion, maybe the conversion might be they visited a show home or they called a sales center. It's more about continue to post content. And even if you ran out of money, you need to remember that this content is here like forever. So you're good. And you can make changes to it based on whatever's going on in the marketplace. I think my thinking is don't give up, because all of this content is going to be long term.
Believe in it.
That's my final profound thing to say, is never give up on your dreams, on your hopes. No.
On your content marketing.
Your dreams, hopes, content marketing.
All the same bucket. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Derek. Appreciate you having this conversation with us. It's been enlightening.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I hope everybody got something out of this.
Definitely. Yeah, that was really good. Thank you so much.
Oh, what a fun conversation. Derek's always such a hoot to chat with.
I know. It's so funny.
Okay, takeaways. My takeaway from this episode and the conversation with Derek, I kind of like dove into it in the episode itself, but I think the thing for me is the power and opportunity with inbound, with content marketing, is getting into the detail and the nitty gritty of what makes you you. Like, you look at your brand, find what you own, find your positioning, find what that thing is that you want to own in the minds of consumers, that you're better than a competition at, and just like content the heck out of it. Like I said in the episode, like if you're the quality builder, like little YouTube, Instagram videos of like all of the like weird quality things you do that are like so strange maybe, but are just going to make really rich and authentic content and really sort of prove that positioning of like, yeah, this is who we are. Look at what we do. We focus in on this weird little thing. And that's how we deliver quality. And it's like, I may know nothing about that as a consumer, but I'm going to see your passion for it and your excitement for it and be like, wow, okay, great. Yeah. They do quality. And then if you just like push that out everywhere, like I said, YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, TikToks if you want, then put it in blogs and put it in emails or whatever. And, just like really own that in every place that you possibly can, and just dive headfirst into it.
That's a great takeaway, Jordan. I completely agree with it. And like, what an opportunity to take something maybe as like generic sounding as like, oh, you're a quality or you have great customer service, and like dive in deep and showcase what that really means. This is the place to do it. Sometimes it's a little bit tough, sometimes in paid to do that kind of stuff, but like your content and all of your like organic platforms and all your own channels is where you could make that message sing. And I would love to do it with home builders. I have some ideas, but yeah, it's a great takeaway. Mine kind of connects to yours a bit. And I loved when we were talking about testing messages. And like we always test messages and different creative options and we're running paid campaigns. It's really important. Like you have to do it. You get so much insights when you do it too. You got to watch them. We're always watching them, like kind of obsessed with it. But it's kind of a different ball game to do it on your own channels where you could like get input, like you were mentioning, and we talked about that. It's a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
So this is the place to do it, and how fun to like test out something like kind of maybe weird or, wonky or like, a little risque. This is the place to do it. Get the conversation going, and it's you might get something viral, who knows? But really, it's just getting that conversation and that great input from your customers in your content. So yeah, I love that. That takeaway is really good for me.
Being able to use all of that basically research data, insight, to then inform future content, or maybe something totally random resonates with your audience, and then you can make that into a paid advertising concept and campaign. Who knows?
Exactly. Or like product, like it informs your product. Like maybe like all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, that's a cool like little like thing in the kitchen, and you're like, wait a second, there's a lot of people talking about this little thing that we're doing in the kitchen. Maybe now it becomes standard. So like what a opportunity. And like when you think about home building, like home building is the place to be doing this. People are engaged, they're excited, this is such a big purchase. Let's get the conversation going.
Yeah, and like if you're your home builder all about design, like focus in on all those design elements, give people behind the scenes, give people like the choice, like
music to my ears, Jordan.
Yeah, we're like, is this lamp or this or like light fixture, this light fixture, this railing or this railing, like really involve them in that and like prove and dive deep into you being design. Or if like you're all about innovation, like get behind the scenes. Like, what's the innovation conversation? What are you debating as the next future technology to go in the homes? Or what are you debating as like the next change to make in a floor plan? Like, put it out there. That's such good content.
And educate. Because like when you talk about innovation, it's like I think when you think about design and like trends, like I love it, and I feel like it's so topical and it gets people like really excited and engaged quickly. But when you think about things like innovation or sustainability, sometimes it's drab. And like people are like, meh, like, I don't know. I feel like it's like one of those topics that is more niche. But if you're able to like get into the nitty gritty and like really show what innovation means and get people like excited or asking questions or like trigger some new conversation with like especially home buyers, like the solar panels in your home, like what does it actually mean? Like show a bill. Like what does it actually mean? So those kind of things, like so fun.
User-generated content, but like get your homeowners to post their energy bills. Like, look, we got our solar panels from so-and-so builder, and look at our power bills are so much less.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
all right, this takeaway is
I know it's
taking a life of its own.
I know. I have notes, I have plans. Let's go. Let's do it.
We're so good. We're so excited about content.
Content is king, honestly. So
yeah.
And it helps in every kind of space. So let's do more of it.
Such an opportunity. And like it is hard. I get it, because like it's not just marketing. Like you've got to involve other groups, but like, oh, when you can, it's so good. Like I had a client meeting yesterday and they were talking about the development of a new piece of land. And they're like, oh yeah, we're just in the process of like finalizing all of our, construction partners and construction drawings and plans and everything. And I'm like, content, such good content. Like let's get that content so that we can like put that into storytelling and put it out there and involve people and sneak peeks and get them excited.
That's a good point, Jordan. Also, like it is a lot of work. And I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot of like apprehension around content and content creation. It's a lot of work. And to do it sometimes internally with like within an organization, it's hard because everybody's busy. And I think that's where like a good partner, like an agency partner, could help really set that foundation of what a content strategy is. I know like we love doing it. It's like so much fun and it gets really deep and it connects so well with brand. Like it is brand. Like your content is brand. That's it. It's the perfect bridge of storytelling. So I think there's opportunities to make that, burden, maybe that's a heavy word, but the burden of creating a content strategy is definitely, there's an opportunity to work with a partner or an agency or us to help make it easier.
100%.
Yeah. That was fun. Okay.
Great conversations, great takeaways.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.
Stay tuned. Bye.
This has been Build Up, a ZGM podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe on your favorite listening app. Thanks to Shelby, our editor and producer, Scott for our original music, and you for listening along. Be sure to follow us on your favorite social platform at Build Up Podcast.